I'm optimistic that we see the industry coming out of this in a new format, and many companies will have reinvented themselves. Fashion is known for its creativity and front-running behavior, and that's why I believe the current situation forces the focus on key strength and a clear value proposition. Past 10 months have seen things get done and done quickly. So it turns out that sometimes didn't need all those sign-off meetings after all, and formerly companies had 3 years of digital transformation on their roadmaps, and those roadmaps got really condensed, and all of a sudden those digital transformation initiatives had to take place within a few weeks. And if there's one thing at least I have learned, and when I talk to our customers, they're in agreement that companies that really laid those kind of digital tracks early were better equipped to understand the massive change that came over all of us, and the amount of data that was coming, and the massive change in their consumer behavior. And we are seeing them actually coming out of these very challenging times, not just into recovery mode, but to really come out much stronger. And that's why I'm really optimistic and confident that fashion will come out stronger of this situation. From my observation, I believe companies who are already on a good digitalization path, like e-commerce ready or the online pickup in stores, those companies fared best in 2020. And I'm a huge fan of supply chain, and we have seen supply chain maybe gotten into second row over the last couple of years, and now it truly came back, and companies with resilient digital supply chains really went not off the roof, but really survived in a good way. And the next topic I would like to address is also brands who can flexibly adapt their business model, right? So in general, the last month have accelerated pre-existing trends, and then companies who were in the miserable situation already started failing even more. But again, companies with a clear value proposition and positioning the markets, they fared best. And I saw a lot of consumers becoming even more disloyal, and this has been driven in parts by supply chain issues, of course, that led to shortages. And also I had a look at different research, and that suggests that 75% of consumers have really reported engaging in new customer behavior in recent months. And that's, of course, when we look at Europe, for example, 4 in 10 consumers have actually purchased something online for the first time that they've only bought in the physical brick and mortar store before. I don't think so. I see, of course, the need to accelerate. And at first sight, it looked like, from my point of view, that sustainability was maybe less important during the last month. We had more packaging, more plastic due to raised online businesses. But I truly think that the pandemic will enforce innovation even in these areas, and that's why sustainability, although it's on top of mind of many agendas, it became a differentiator for businesses as well. And that's where many brands are currently looking to become kind of purpose-driven fashion businesses, and I believe that's truly appreciated by the customers. Second one is when we also look at inventory. This is something where brands repurpose their physical stores into distribution hubs, and getting closer to customers is also something that we see more and more, and that trend is not new, it just has been accelerated. And why would I source something from a faraway location when there's a warehouse just down the street from me, right? So that's where I'm quite passionate about inventory, because once you do get that customer, whether it is on the website or in the store, if you do not deliver the inventory, that is the ultimate experience for customers in the bad way. So you got to make sure that they get it, and that all ties back also to the changed role in the store that we see more and more coming. The one thing I observe or pulled out of the different situations I see is that you need to actually get your brand in front of people. especially when you've got loyal consumers, where you want to make sure that you maintain their loyalty and that they don't discover something else. That's quite important, being proactive as a brand at the moment. And fashion brands in particular really need to get on board with making sure that they don't give the space up to new brands, I would argue. I would explore those who are traditionally in-store retailers to really think about how to get your brand in front of people that are shopping online and in different touch points. So don't let other brands take over that space. It's your space as a brand, and you've put a lot of time and energy into creating loyalty with your customers. So don't give up on that one. And it all ties back to how do you also prepare for the unknown with the help of digital technologies. How do you come down to a segment of one in order to really approach your consumer in an individual way. So from an SAP perspective, I would argue that with the enormous surge of customers moving online, there's a need for a robust and scalable platform, of course, to support and execute the demand. And with the omni-channel nature of commerce, there's a very important connection to make between the back and the front office, being able to truly stitch together the customer journey between customer buying and ordering online and the fulfillment and delivery of that order, as well as the manufacturing, if we go into the vertical aspect of fashion. The planning, the inventory management, connecting all those dots is really of paramount importance for all of our customers at the moment. Supply chain as well, and how we thought about supply chain will continue to change. For those that are focused on supply chain, you might have felt that the last couple of years you were kind of in the shadow of your digital counterparts, but I believe last year was the year again where supply chain was brought to the forefront. And the next topic is really the visibility of the inventory. Customers and consumers want to understand how much of a specific product that you have at what location. Sounds easy, but of course we know that it's not, and they want to know how fast they can get it and how flexible they can get it. And no matter where you are in the world, if you are out of stock, people are going to consider trying an alternative store, brand, or what have you. And some will wait for the items, of course, to be back in stock, but is that really a risk that you can take at the moment? That's a key question. And again, think about what are you doing to really control and improve your supply chain as you walk along your continuum for this year, for 2021. And what other things you can do to better forecast, to better execute, and then better distribute inventory closer to the consumer. And I would also argue this is the foundation for also new business models, right? How do you combine your foundation to new ideas to surprise your customers? And you can best generate new revenue streams with having all the ducks of digitalization in a row, from my point of view. And to me, fashion is always about the balance between creativity and structure. If fashion companies overemphasize one of these, they always ran into trouble. So either they became efficient with great processes, but then they somehow missed out on maybe building the best collection. And so that's why the balance is quite important. And in these situations, it's all about liquidity as well. So have brands enough breathing room, if you will, to put through the efforts they might have started. I also see a lot of internal organizational challenges. If you implement a new software, a new platform, you also need to make sure that the organizational change moves along with it, because otherwise you just have a technical migration. You cannot leverage the capabilities and values that come with an integrated platform. And when we also take again the SAP view, and also it's when we talk about complexity, the biggest challenge is really also moving to the cloud, right? Some of our customers have very complex systems and processes, and you cannot overcome this complexity with PowerPoint, right? You need to convince companies to standardize and simplify. They also need the facts that prove that this can accelerate business processes, and that this frees up resources to focus on maybe customer service or innovation. And yeah, that's why we also at SAP came out with a new offering that we call Rise with SAP, where we have the facts and data, and we have the ability to model and simulate business processes, and all of our customers that are buying new technologies and want to use AI. But if you have to link those technologies together, you need to have a business transformation as a service, and that's why we are offering this one. And that also refers to the intended acquisition of Signavio in the area of business process intelligence. How can we help our customers really leverage the capabilities that come with the new platform? I mean, it very much depends on the company itself, the business models they're already using, their size, the markets they are in, the globalization status. I mean, successful brands, they really thought big and started small, have successes early on to really build the confidence and the motivation, and maybe also jealousy to drive organizational change. That comes along with the statement of start with the end in mind, right? With the consumer. So what is the biggest pain point for them, and how can they be addressed? What are the resulting jobs that need to be done? And that comes back to the program we launched. I just talked about. I believe that we at SAP have come up with an exciting new offering that we call Rise with SAP, and that's really the opportunity to grow to how we call it, the intelligent enterprise. And we have new digital technologies and the move to the cloud. This is all changing the way we support our customers with our solutions and run the business. And the current challenges highlights truly how fragile our world and businesses can be. And this current crisis brutally demonstrates how resilient a company's business model, a supply chain, and operations really are and need to be. And that's why the business transformation needs to help companies adapt. And this has become an imperative, and it's a mandatory requirement for us to help our customers stay relevant and succeed in that marketplace. And when we look at retail or fashion, for example, consumers of course expect a seamless, personalized experience at every interaction point across channels, delivery times of 24 hours or less, flexible payment terms. These are all the things they expect. When we go into manufacturing, for example, factories and warehouses are controlled without human intervention, supply chain design, planning, personalized products, right, made to measure in fashion at scale. And SAP, we also believe that a company's sustainability determines its success in the meantime, right? It's not just top line, bottom line. There's a third dimension, which is sustainability, as consumers really want to know how seriously companies are taking the topic. We need to use technologies to not only reduce CO2, but also have less waste and maybe move into the circular economy. And becoming an intelligent enterprise is therefore more important than ever, and also not just for survival, but also to stay relevant and successful. And this is where this new offering Rise kicks really in, that companies can decide individually which functions they want to use and when, and they can also decide when to migrate their ERP system to the cloud, and if necessary continue to use as a hybrid environment for a certain time. And this happens really in 3 steps. The first one is you look at the business processes and how to redesign that based on the industry best practices, and we always work together with our customers, and we have this process knowledge. This is really intended to specifically transform the company's processes. The second one is really the technical migration to a standardized modular solution landscape. And then the third one is really create a foundation for the intelligent enterprise with S/4HANA and our business technology platform. I believe organizations need to find a balance between what tech spend can they genuinely deliver for them versus chasing the next big thing. So what is the experience that you're trying to enable with your technology? And the answer, unfortunately, is there's no one size fits all for every brand and company, but what is your product catalog and complexity? How complex is the journey that you're trying to enable? Is it something really simple, intuitive? Maybe you only sell one product and it's very simple and straightforward. as a team, not just consisting of IT, but also business and maybe innovation. How do you break that down, and which of these technologies and infrastructure architecture choices make the most sense for where I'm trying to go, and not just a year from now, but 2-3 years from now. So building into that great unknown, knowing you can't take off everything there is quite important. And one example would be investing in cloud, investing in e-commerce, use of data analytics, customer experience, and offering this individualized products and services, use of experience technologies, automation, of course, at the same time of core processes. These are areas which I would prioritize to make the best out of it. So don't place all eggs in one basket, but really distribute on commodity process. On the one hand, build your foundation right, but then also on the way, pave in innovation to make sure that the customer experience really is brought to the next level. To me, it's always the combination of foundational work with innovation, right? Implementing an end-to-end process without innovation is too little of an achievement nowadays, right? How do you bring robotics in? How do you bring 3D technology in? How do you automate existing processes? How can you accelerate design processes with the elimination of physical samples, for example? So how do you run a more effective allocation and reduce emissions and waste at the same time, right? So this is where the combination is powerful, right? So having intelligent data analysis, for example, machine learning, but also you need to combine with the human experience, and that can lead to a powerful new experience for the customer. But be aware, as soon as you have created this experience, I believe the customers expect that everywhere. So you constantly need to innovate and reinvent things to customer happy and surprise him or her. Yeah, so there's a huge portfolio, of course, at SAP, but I wanna break it down into 2 or 3 areas. And then first one is our intelligent suite, and most importantly, it's S4HANA for fashion vertical business, as well as S4HANA retail for merchandise management. And the key value here is that we really bring all business models in one single platform, right? Even beyond the blurring industry lines, right? When we look at new business models, for example, rental services, you might need to have a sophisticated billing functionality. And where do we find billing to access? This is, from my point of view, could be the telco industry. So they know how to bill customers and the telecommunication bill. So that's something we could easily use. And we also hear from customers that moving to S4HANA will lead to considerable organizational disruption and an uncertain ROI. And in my view, the organizational disruption is true and might also be necessary, right? Fashion companies will no longer be able to operate in old silos where conflicting KPIs harm the customer journey. And secondly, the consumption of innovation is a key challenge for our customers. So we have to admit that S4 is the place to be, that this is where we develop the innovation, and customers are entitled to consume that, right? And we also hear, for example, that customers are struggling to recognize and quantify the added value. And many of these companies are missing an easier like-for-like migration of their scope. And here's one recipe for success from my point of view. And implementation should always be combined with the organizational change too. And if companies implement the same legacy processes on a new platform, they will end up in searching the value. And that's what we avoid. And those customers that address the process opportunities with an organizational response are the most successful, and that's quite key to mention. Second area in the intelligence suite would be I picked this the customer activity repository. Just one sentence about it. It's a single platform for our sales transactions, forecasting and inventory visibility in real time, which is kind of the intelligent brain on top of S4. And the third one dimension is something we launched last year, which we call the industry cloud. And that is a modular portfolio of solutions built and run on the SAP Cloud Platform by SAP as well as partners. And the idea there is really to optimize and extend the end-to-end processes of the intelligence suite with next practices and ultimately enable customers to transform their business models. Right? We are seeing an accelerated pace of change, and then customers need to have the right tools to respond to that pace without harming their existing processes. And we see that, for example, market conditions, industry trends, customer demands are driving the transformation of business models. I mentioned the blurring industry lines. There's a core process transformation needed as well, more urgently. And that's why agility and these words are key. And how do you implement this? You need to have tools and smaller solutions that you can plug in a more easy way to extend the processes. And the idea is to have that all native clouds and services, and that's of course also growing in popularity within the different business models we are working in. And lastly, maybe as a little add-on, I'm also furthermore convinced that our intended acquisition of Signavio will help our fashion companies to further optimize their business processes as a whole. So that's kind of in a nutshell where we see a few nuggets that can help SAP customers to stay relevant and successful. We build software for our customers, and we put them in the center of everything we do from a development perspective, and consequently we need our customers to help us getting the right things developed and to stay relevant and successful in the future. So this is also an invitation to get engaged either by our user groups, our customer engagement initiatives during development project, and surely also in co-innovation, where you guys from Attune also helped us big time in the past. And our customers know their business best, and we will continue to leverage this expertise. And you can be sure that we get a lot of feedback at the moment. We're also adjusting plans to make sure that we can tackle the current challenges of our customer base.